Hello, I'm Sharon Dowsett and welcome to Music Theory Part 1. In this lesson I'm going to talk you through the first few things that you need to know to be able to start reading notated music, and we're going to be covering pulse, note values and rhythm. Music is written on 5 lines that go across the page. This is known as a stave, and at the start of every single stave you're going to see this symbol. And I'll draw a bigger one up here for you. It's called a treble clef. This stave is separated into smaller chunks by lines that go down through, called bar lines. And at the end of a piece of music, there will be 2 lines, a thick line and a thin line, that's called a double bar. So these are the bars, and these are the bar lines. What the bars do is separate the music into smaller chunks of time. So you'll be having a pulse or a beat that runs throughout the music, and there'll be the same number of counts of that pulse in each bar. The most commonly used number of counts in a bar is 4, and you'll see what's known as a time signature next to your treble clef that will show you the number of counts in the bar, and that will look like this: 4, 4. So I can show you what that will sound like as well. This is a metronome, and I'm going to put it so that you can hear 4 equally spaced counts. Never speeding up, never slowing down, always staying the same speed. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4/4 is the most commonly seen time signature, but there are other ones as well. So the next one I'm going to tell you about is 3/4. So that's a 3 on top of a 4, and that means that there are 3 equal counts in the bar, which will sound like this: 1, 2, 3. And the other one that I'm going to tell you about today is 2 equal counts in a bar, which will be 2/4. And that will sound like this: 1, 2. Let's move on to the note values next. The first one I'm going to tell you about is called a crotchet, and it is worth 1 count. So it is a note that has a head coloured in, and it has what's called a stem, which can either be going up or, in some cases, downwards, just depending where it's written on the stave. But they're both 1 count, which is a crotchet. So what I'm going to do now is play you some crotchets with my metronome so you can hear what they'll sound like with the beat. So there'll be 1 note per count for that. The next value I want to tell you about is called a minim, which is worth 2 counts. This time the note has a head that is not coloured in, so it's left blank, but it does still have a stem on it. Which again can be pointing either up or down depending on where it's written on the stave. Minims will be held over 2 beats then, so you'll hear the count going on the metronome, and I'll make my notes last for 2 of those counts. The next note value that I'd like to show you is called a semibreve, and that has got 4 counts. A semibreve just has a head, left blank, and no stem on it. That will sound like this. And then the final one I want to show you are quavers. Quavers are half counts. So if you go back to thinking about your crotchet that was 1 count, a quaver will be twice as fast as that. A quaver has a coloured in head, it has a stem, and when there's only one of them, it has a little tail on it, which looks like that. If there's more than one, however, they get beamed together to show that they are joined up to add to 1. So this part that I'm drawing across is the beam. So each of these ones is worth a half count. So 1/2 plus 1/2 makes 1 count. I'll play you some quavers as well. Some people like to count 1 count note the crotchet as T and 2 quavers coffee. Tea, tea, coffee, coffee, coffee. That might be another way of helping you when you're counting your music, working out how fast each of these note values should go. Right, the next thing is I'm going to show you a practical demonstration of how these things all work using some examples. So here we have my first example. So it has 2 minims, and I know they're minims because the head of the note is not coloured in, but it has a stem, so I know that they'll be worth 2 counts each. So this bar will sound like this. Nice and simple, hopefully. Now let's move on to a different one. My next example has a minim worth 2 counts and then 2 crotchets, 1 on 1. You could count this in the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll play that for you as well. And now I'm going to include some quavers in the next one. So this bar I would count as 1, 2 and 3, 4 and. So when I've got 2 quavers together, the first one, which is on the beat, will have the number, so that was number 2. The following one I call and. So 1, 2 and 3, 4 and, or like I was saying before, we can count tea, coffee, coffee. And this is how that bar will sound. And then my final example mixes up all of these things. So we start with 2 quavers there, half a count each. 1 and, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. So what I could do now is take the whole thing as one rhythm and join it all up. So I'll count it for you. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2, 3, 4. And if I play that, all of that joined together. So rhythm is so important. Without rhythm, it's not music, it's just one sound after another. Rhythm is what helps give music its clarity, and the sense of phrasing and the beat and the pulse is so important. So working out the rhythm before you play a piece of music is just as important as working out the pitch of the notes, which is what we'll come to in our next music theory lesson. Great, thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.